So guys, this is the final part of the preface to the lyrical ballads by William Wordsworth. In first and second part, we have studied that this work, this preface to lyrical ballads, is a collaboration of William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Samuel Taylor Coleridge wrote about 5 poems, and rest of the 23 poems were covered by or wrote by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth basically writes this preface as to justify his work because his first edition was uh, the critics criticized his first edition work. Therefore, he added a preface to his second edition of Lyrical Ballads. Okay, so basically in the preface, William Wordsworth talks about how he has written the poetry poems, its themes, like he has used ordinary languages so that people could understand. So here Wordsworth talks about the matters or the background or what type of things, materials he has used in his poetry and lyrical ballads. It's not like William Wordsworth cannot use high level language, it's just he wants his readers to understand what is there in it. So, in this final video, I have 3 points left to cover. Let's start with the aim of a poet. Wordsworth next says that the aim of a poet is to provide pleasure by writing poems. Okay, so that a poet should have a capability to express themselves in a poem or in the article what they write. So the poet writes only under one restriction. Poets are free to write anything. They have just one, according to William Wordsworth, they have just one restriction, and that is the necessity of giving immediate pleasure. Okay, the necessity of giving immediate pleasure, like between a biographer and we can say and a historian. Okay, between a biographer and historian there are thousands of restrictions. They have to give exact or accurate information, but a poet just requires one thing, and that is their imaginations. The power of imagination should be strong, because it's not necessary for a poet to give the exact two, that is two. Okay, like 1 plus 1 is 2. Uh, the poet just requires to write anything that comes to your imagination. Okay, a poet do not write something accurate but writes completely imaginary to the pleasure. So next is a line that everything, Wordsworth says that everything in this universe and the task becomes lighter for you if you look at the world with the spirit full of love. The one who can look at the world with the spirit full of love is a poet. So here Wordsworth is defining a poet. What is a poet? Okay, Wordsworth is saying that if you look at the universe and see how beautiful it is, if everything in the universe looks beautiful to you, okay, if you have love in your eyes, if you love someone, okay, and whenever you will look at it you will find pleasure. That is the thing which poet is now poet wants to say, that if you look at the universe full of love, it will become lighter to judged people. Okay, so the one who look at the world with the spirit full of love is known as a poet, is called a poet. Okay, a poet sees bits things. Okay, he finds his satisfaction in seeing the world. So here basically Wordsworth defines what is a true poet. A poet should know to convey himself. The next is William Wordsworth says about the difference between science and poetry. He says that a man of science or a chemist, mathematician, all those things are that pleasure is important. They also find pleasure. Here in last second part, Wordsworth writes about pleasure. He writes that everyone needs pleasure, but in a different ways. Like science, chemists, mathematicians, they all require pleasure, which is important for them, but they see pleasure in their studies. The object of study could be painful, but they feel no they but when the knowledge but they feel knowledge in themselves. And maybe for them, for the science students or chemists, for maybe that is pleasure, that knowledge gives them pleasure. Where there is no knowledge, there is no pleasure for them. But in poetry, poet considers man as an object that surrounds him, acting and reacting upon each other. Okay, a poet considers a man and the objects that surrounds him, that both the man and the object are acting and reacting upon each other. The poet is seeing one object and his imaginations are varying. So both are acting and reacting upon each other so as to provide an infinite complexity of a pain and pleasure. Wordsworth says that whatever complexity is present before you, if you look at them on their ideas, you will find everywhere those kinds of objects that will excite you immediately. If you look at the objects with great ideas, if you look at the objects with your own imagination, you will find, you as a poet will find, you will find all those you will find that the objects around you will appear will appear to you in an excited mind. You will be excited about that object, about what else you can think for this. Okay, that will provide you great knowledge, and this knowledge will give you pleasure. So that's one difference. That's the difference between science and pleasure, that science students, they gain pleasure with knowledge studies, but poetry is different. They find pleasure everywhere in their surroundings. Wordsworth, in the last one, Wordsworth compares human mind to a mirror. He considers that man and nature are essentially adapted to each other. The mind of man is like a mirror, which you get to see the most fairest and interesting properties of nature that is reflected in the mind of a man. Wordsworth basically here is comparing human mind to a mirror, okay, in which nature reflects itself, okay. So Wordsworth basically is comparing in human mind to a mirror, and nature are close to each other. Human mind and nature. We can take an example of in M.H. Ibrahim's book Glossaries of English Literature. We can find a notion of comparison of mind of a man to a mirror. He has also written the mirror. M.H. Ibrahims has also written The Mirror and the Lamp, in which he is comparing his poetry or normal poetry to a mirror, which is the subject of his famous book In the Mirror of the Lamp. So Wordsworth lastly wants to say that human mind is like a mirror in which nature reflects itself. So a poet reflects nature in himself and writes about nature. Okay, so now we have come to an end of this preface. So I hope you liked the video. I hope you understood what I said. If you have any doubt, any queries, please do comment me. Okay, let's stop here.